Hello, on day 3 of Autistic Radio Days. Every Sunday we have a 444 drop-in. It's a place where, without any appointment, without any organising yourself, you can just click on a link and drop in to speak alongside other autistic people. It's not necessary to make a song and dance about it. When you first see the browser open on your computer or your mobile phone, it's a very simple graphic. You'll be able to hear what's going on inside the room, and you'll be able to see the text from outside the room, and it's up to you when you want to make those steps towards us to say hello. You're welcome just to lurk and just to be there. Autistic Radio is about networking with other autistic people as much as the different projects that we have. And the 444 drop-in is where we find community amongst people who are similar to us. How's everybody today? I see there's a few people dropped in.
Another bit of a difficult day being on my own, nowhere to go.
Yeah, I hear you, Robbie. It's this time of year. Everything's closed, but I remember you were here yesterday and we had some nice chats, and I remember you laughing as well.
It's basically how I survive having to laugh at the situation, because what else can you do?
That's your artistic streak, isn't it? The creativity about your situation. I feel in you a real feeling of resilience, and I associate that with autism. You explain to us, and we're happy to hear when you explain your situation, and we also, I think, admire the resilience that you show.
I've been basically held together with a handful of friends from the music community, a handful of friends through the craft groups, autistic radio, a few indigenous groups in America, because there is no proper support.
You know, that doesn't sound too bad a life there, Robbie. An awful lot of people are finding as they grow older that their networks slip away. To be able to mention a few of the things that you take part in is okay, isn't it?
It's doing things that hold me together. I don't relax by sitting doing nothing and doing things like people watching. My default relax is being occupied, taking part in music groups, doing a bit of crochet, chats with some of the other groups I go to. It's not doing nothing, and that's all I need. It's not complicated. It's not expensive. It just falls away when the winter means I can't get out and about, and I'm left solely with online stuff, because I'm excluded from most things in the village. So a bit of cold weather shuts a whole lot of things down. I'm pretty tolerant about what weather I can cope with. It has to be really bad to keep me in. It has to be extremely windy or extremely cold. But it's doing things that keeps me going.
It's good that you're here now. And very good that you're not in Canada at this moment, um, or at least this part of Canada. We're having a 2 day ice storm, which keeps a lot of people in, also gives a lot of people migraines and different things. Um, I wanted to thank Jules, Lucy, and Ray for the amount of time that you've spent on radio days, but it's not just the time. There's something else that the three of you do that I really appreciate. I and then maybe it's a number of other things that you do that I really appreciate. And radio days is really bringing it into focus for me because that is a lot of hours um, for people who are autistic. And I know each one of us is different, but for example, the interviews that you do with people, Jules, that you've replayed today are profound, often heavy topics. And it would just be beyond me to manage those conversations. It's hard enough to even listen to some. And Ray, your ability to listen and to listen on several levels is amazing to me. I tend to freeze up and just spout things in response. And Lucy, too, you're a very active listener. I'm not sure if you're here right now, but hopefully you'll hear the recording. Thanks to all of you. And you too, Robbie. I know it's hard, but you're actively doing something with us right now.
When I lost my dad, I realised how difficult it is when you lose parents and what other neurodivergent parents face. Because my dad thought he had everything set up to keep me safe, and it all went wrong because and the services aren't there to provide proper support. They provide generic support. That's where I write my page, hoping that I can help other people avoid going through what I have.
Lucy, you are not going to. Well, you're going to blush. Teresa has just given the whole idea of autistic radio and the people who take part in it fulsome praise. You're going to have to listen back to the recording on this one, Lucy.
Oh lordy, oh dear. Am I going to be embarrassed? I hope so.
Oh, it's possibly the nicest compliment that anyone can give you. Teresa just described you as a really good listener. A listener. A fucking listener. Instead of what everybody else is, this pushy talker. I think that's a beautiful thing to have somebody say something about you like that. I think that's really nice.
Active listener. Oh, thank you. That is a really big compliment, and it shows a lot of restraint on my side because my head is always running. But it's important to listen, isn't it? I mean, if you don't take time to listen to other people, then you're always fixed in your own little worldview. We don't want that. So yeah, I think that is an amazing compliment. Thank you ever so much, Teresa. I am blushing.
I'm guessing that's what we do here, isn't it? We have this slogan, our words, we listen. We speak, our words, we listen. The we speak, well, they don't expect us to speak because we're autistic, to be able to communicate. They don't expect that. Our words, the things that we feel, so we're representing ourselves as individuals, as a group, and we listen. I think the we listen part is probably the big bit of this.
It is the biggest bit of it because it's a skill that's lost with most people. People just listen to answer. They don't listen to actually listen to what you're saying.
I think it can be all too easy to sort of live in your own little sphere and not hear what other people are saying. And actually, there's a lot of value in being able to be patient and listen and understand and take in. You don't have to take everything on board. You don't have to agree with everything, but it's so important to have other people's take on the world, and it could change your worldview too, I suppose.
In the text, people are saying things like, glad you're enjoying your first radio days, and comments about being active as a listener. What's the difference between active as a listener? Because I feel as though often when I'm communicating, I look at the person and there's another level in my head of asking myself, what do I need to say next to get their attention? Because I don't feel as though I have their attention. You so often you feel as though you are trying to say something quite important to you, but you don't know how to get that active listening from the other person.
This could get quite deep.
I noticed, I think it was yesterday, but it could have been the day before with Lucy. When you're listening to somebody, you're drawing out the meaning of what they're saying. So you're encouraging, mm, you're in, yeah, you're encouraging them to go a tiny bit deeper. If that make, I hope that make.
I guess there's something in that what you just said there, Teresa, where it's a sort of, if you can echo back so that the other person knows that you understand where they're coming from and what they're saying. I guess that's active listening, because you're showing that you're understanding and comprehending, and it's a way of showing that there is like a link between you and them, if you see what I mean.
I just want to pick up what Jules said about gaining someone's attention. I at that point, I would worry that I wasn't listening anymore. Because there's yourself and the person you're speaking to, and then there's the conversation itself, whether or not someone is paying attention or not. You're in it. And so maybe that's what is to be listened to. And that can often be in gesture, it can be very physical. Somatic is the word, I believe. So to change someone's mind through words is very, very difficult. You know, sometimes it's more potent to just accept what you're in and react. And it may break through. But ignorance is ignorance, you know.
Yeah, do you know, I think you're right there, Ray. I think that feeling I get sometimes when I'm trying to work out how I get a crack or a way into somebody's attention so that they're hearing anything that I say means that I myself am so focused on that I'm not seeing what they are saying, what they are, you know, what other things that they are signalling. But, you know, yeah, you just have to be aware that focusing on anything is always missing something.
I think you do that anyway, Jules. You know, I think you're an all-rounder. You kind of listen and actively, you know, participate as well, from what I've heard. So I wouldn't want to, like, you know, rain on your parade in any way by giving you my interpretation of events and you assuming it. What you were saying there about, I think you do both. And people are different. So I think you've got this skill to be very contributing, but also very accommodating too. Because sometimes when I listen to the conversations you have live, I think, oh, he's going to go in this direction. And you don't. You actually take on board what someone said and move with it. And so it's like choreography, but that sounds manipulative, well, you know, contrived. But it is like a dance at times, very physical. And there is a physical feeling when you're thinking and communicating. It's often ignored, you know, because we're all in our heads. But I think there's a very physical thing. And for autistic people, sometimes that can be sensitive and a bit difficult. But yeah, it's a deep, deep thing, this communication. One more thing. Recently, I've been getting a flashback to a feeling I used to have when I was quite young, which is like, I want to say something and then I don't say it. I just think it's meaningless. I think, like, why am I trying to say it? You know, what importance is it for me to say this thing? And it's almost like a habit.
Oh, wow. I know exactly that feeling. Well, my interpretation of that feeling from inside my head, anyway. You know, I don't think it ever stopped. That burning, this has to be said. This has to be said. It's burning, and then when it no longer, you don't need to say it anymore, or it doesn't have the, and it happens in quite a short period of time for me.
And sometimes by the time you could say it, that part of this conversation has floated away. One important thing that I've been thinking about listening or barging in to a conversation, or it might not even be a conversation, it could be a situation. And my best example will be if there was a person in danger and you were witnessing it. There are all different ways that people would deal with that. And then one of the ways is to start screaming fire. Do you know what I mean? Because you're afraid and you want to help, and then you're not helping because you might be you might make everybody panic. I think that's one of my tendencies, you know, to grab a child to prevent them from running in the road or something. Of course, you have to do that sometimes, but then I might do it more than I should. Um, And that's so interesting what you said, Ray. It's almost like there could be a thought experiment or where you think you might say something and it would be valuable in the conversation and it could guide the conversation in a really good way. And then just have an experiment with yourself and not say it and see what happens to the conversation. And it is going to go in a very good way. It'll just be a different good way.
But of course, we have to use the tools given to us, so I wouldn't go diving into some kind of like non-mind.
I have divided attention at the moment. I am listening to everything, but I am also writing a Substack at exactly the same time, and I'm doing it because I've got things in my head that I have to get out. So if I'm quiet, it's because my head is buzzing and I'm typing. So I'll be back with you fully in a bit.
Groovy. Multiple realities. What do we call that? Multitasking it used to be, yeah. You know, sitting there in the 70s, reading a book, listening to the radio and watching Scooby-Doo all at the same time.
Yeah, there's that. There's also the fact that I've got a really short memory now, being the age I am. And so once I've got something in my head and it's going, I've got to catch the words, sort of pick them up and put them down somewhere where I'm not going to forget them. So that's what I'm doing right now. Otherwise, I'll never get this done. I want to get it done before New Year's.
Down or say 'em, I quickly forget.
There's also that experience of letting things go. I've had that thing of, oh God, what was that thing I was thinking about earlier today? And I haven't noted it down and it's gone. And you chase it and and I'm thinking, why am I chasing it? It's like, just let it go. If it was, there is that old cliche, if it's that important, it will come back. But sometimes it's just let it go.
I'm having senior moments, I think. I think that you call them. I'm actually going to see my doctor tomorrow about this, but I'm having these, like yesterday, I think, Ray, you couldn't remember Andy Partridge's name, and it came into my head and I told you. but I'm getting that all the time with other things that I think, why am I forgetting that? So, yeah, I'm really aware that if I've got something in my head that's important, it needs to go. I've got 2 laptops open at the moment. That's the way I am.
I consider that just aging. You know, I'm over 60 now. You know, it's like I've got the right to forget a few things. And of course, I contrast it when I was younger and I was what Jack Kerouac used to call the memory babe. You know, I had this almost like photographic memory. And, you know, I could recall things, which is perhaps autistic, you know, especially things I was interested in. But to not have them immediately accessible now, yeah, I'll note it down, but it doesn't really concern me that much. I just go, you know, I can look it up online. And I do believe the technology has a part to play in our memory loss.
Yeah, but you've also got to remember that being my age and female, there's something you can do about this at the moment. So if you pop down and get some lovely HRT from the doctor, then it might help prolong that. And I'm all for that. If there's something I can take which is going to make that better, then that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, there's a natural aging thing, but I'm 52 now, and I'm thinking, yeah, that's happening. But there's also a little bit of a kind of a shortcut back to my brain.
Oh, for sure, Lucy. Yeah, I'm not going to deny that. I mean, I'm no purist, you know. It's whatever floats your boat. And I have ulterior motives for a lot of things I do, you know, couched in really kind of glowing, kind of humanist terms, you know, but really I'm just playing the system.
I've done that all my life. I'm not stopping now. My whole life has been playing the system in one way or another. Whether we're talking about getting housing or, you know, getting benefits or, you know, things.
It's called survival, inverting reality.
Yeah, and being desperate and skint a lot of the time. I think, you know, that it can drive you to have motivations to sort of find a way around the problem and out the other side. You might tell a few lies here and there, or you might, you know, exaggerate the problem a little bit. But I think, yeah, it's survival.
This thing of multitasking as well, when you do more than one thing at once, I think that can put you into a kind of a zone. You know, it's almost like a tone. There was a time when I was calling it the background hum, you know, when you can fall into the background hum. And that's because so many things are happening at once that you're not really concentrating on any of them. You're in a free floating concentration. You know, even just talking about that feels kind of groovy. But yeah, got to be careful here.
Is that like a liminal state? I have some of my best thoughts in that period when you've stopped dreaming, or maybe you get to that almost awake point. And I sometimes think I have to capture this idea. But then when I go to capture it, there isn't really an idea. Like it felt like there was, and there isn't one can be put into words. It's like you have the gist of a solution to something, but not the words where you have to do what Lucy's doing, get them down. Um, might make sense, but it sounds like a little bit like what you're describing, Ray.
You had a feeling, not a thought. That's the way I look at it. It's like the feeling of the state you were in. And when you try to name it and think about it's gone because you're no longer in that feeling. So the thing about detuning yourself, like, because I love alternate tunings on guitar, when you're detuning your concentration, it can take you away from the need, the habit to name these things. And it becomes a bit more in the body, if you see what I mean. But liminal will do.
It seems so tangible, like when I'm floating up out of the dream, I think, yeah, that is the solution. That is it, as if it was the tangible thing.
The threshold's a good place, so it's really full of energy. It's like if you say you're standing outside a fence in an area that's forbidden, you know, no access, and you think like, am I going in there? You know, and you know that kind of feeling. I used to get sometimes when I used to take photographs a lot with early digital cameras, and I would go into suburban areas of the city that were quite posh and well-to-do, and a lot of curtain twitching, and wondering what I was doing, slowly pacing around their private area, their exclusive area. And I was there for historical reasons to find places where things used to exist and take photographs. And of course, once you pull the camera out, it's even more dodgy. So you're riding the threshold at that point, you know, of like, should you or should you not be here, you know, meaning. So I would put a yellow vest on and make it look like I was a workman. And of course the dog was perfect for this because we coexisted in that life of exploring that other world.
That's kind of how I felt with my dog as well. When Daisy was with me, she was like, every walk was a her walk, so we went where she wanted to go, and I just held on to the lead and made sure she didn't get into too much bother. But there's something really good about that, like being able to let go and just follow the dog wherever she wanted to lead you. We always ended up in the park, but it was the getting there, it was the process.
But yeah, you have to be the responsible adult too. So I often thought I was in her world, but very much we were sharing. And when I first got her, there was this book around called The Other End of the Lead, which I never read, but I took a photograph of it in a bookshop. And I was going back through old photos recently, and there it was, this book, this title that kind of obsessed me at the time. Oh God, I'm on the other end of the lead.
She was my second dog. I had a dog when I was really young, so I was kind of used to the experience of dog, but it was what I always enjoy, and it's like what I've got now. And what I'm writing about is the cat actually, but we won't talk about that. But the joy of it is that when you have a dog as a kid, and then you crave your own dog when you get older, and then you get one, it's just like learning dog all over again. Learning dog language all over again was great, you know. And the amount that I remembered from back then was wonderful. And it just, honestly, animals and me.
A final thought on that from me is that I never really craved a dog. I was almost anti-dogs when Fox came into my life. So what happened was circumstances created a situation where we met and had this coexistence, and circumstances have now created this new situation. So yeah, there's lessons in there, but it's like I won't rush into getting another dog. I don't think I will, because that was not my intention. The intention was something, and so something else happened. You know, I mean, it was basically dog ownership, but it was something else.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just been routine to have some sort of animal in my life. So it kind of went dog, budgerigar, hamster, fish, and then sort of getting bigger and bigger till eventually I went for the full blown huge cat and then a huge dog, and now I've got another cat. So it's just like I can't be without that side of me. I think it's not so much craving but a need, and it just feels a kind of a little gap of having someone to talk to who completely loves you and doesn't judge you, and is happy just for a bowl full of biscuits and a bit of fuss.
Yeah, it's worth exploring. It's unconditional, and yeah, I was going to say something else there, but it's gone. So let it go. Oh, it's come back. It's come back. What it is when things come to you. That's kind of the point I'm trying to make. When things come to you, very often with an animal, it'll be a cat that will, adopt you because they kind of roam. Whereas dogs don't usually come to you and claim you in the sense that mine did, because her owner was ill. So, yeah, I do believe in that thing that sometimes they can come for you.
In the text, Robbie says that, going back to the previous thread, he usually knows when people are going to listen to him or not. Maybe, do we though? I would question that, Robbie, but I know that you're saying that you've got good judgment on that. I think but sometimes we make assumptions and maybe we cock it up ourselves. I feel the same as you, but then intellectually I know that I must be doing it. I must be making mistakes and misunderstandings as well. When we were talking about that flow feeling, Teresa described it as creative juices flowing, and Robbie calls them craft moments. And when we went on to remember, he says that he can't remember a fucking thing. I feel like that too. I feel as though, but maybe if you feel as though your memory's not working, then you know enough to know that you've forgotten it. Dogs are my favourite. Cats too. I once had a monkey. Not my choice. Wow, Teresa. Robbie says that cats don't have owners, they have staff. Oh, the old ones are the best ones there, Robbie. And Ray says, the other end of the lead. Assumptions on which end of the lead.
That was linked to what you were saying. Sorry, Robbie. That's linked to what you were saying about, when you're in a conversation with people and think they're not listening, we all have assumptions. So the lead there is between both parties, if you see what I mean. So over to you, Robbie.
When I say about knowing what people think, it's sort of either knowing in a lot of sort of professional situations that people like doctors and social workers aren't going to listen. And in a social situation, after a while, I'll get to know people and know whether they're actually going to listen or not from previous experiences.
I know what you feel there, Robbie, and I know that I feel it too. But I do find myself having to give myself a good talking to and say, no, look, don't let those people make you feel like that, put you into that frame, and let's attack it again and see if we can prove it to be wrong this time. I feel there's something autistic about the banging your head against a brick wall in that.
Let's just say I have months and months of battling with social workers trying to get them to listen to my experience instead of imposing cut and paste care plan onto me.
Can I pick up on something Robbie put in the text there? When he said, I call them craft moments. Was that relating to, multitasking? Or was it related to memory loss? Because I can't remember a fucking thing. is kind of the feeling you get after you've been in a flow, of participation and action.
It's to do with when you forget things. Instead of calling them senior moments, I call them craft moments. And it spells out the initials. I'll leave it to your imagination what the F stands for.
Oh, I get it. Can't remember a flipping thing.
So I'm having a senior moment now. What is it called when you use letters to remind you something? Begin with an S?
I just had to rejoin. Sorry. There's not obvious in my neighborhood, but there is an ice storm. It could cause connectivity issues.
Yeah, we saw New York on the news. It was getting quite a fall.
Lots of places in Canada right now, or at least Ontario and Quebec and East, have they call them accretions of ice. So and they measure it in millimeters. So I think it's 13 millimeters in many places, which really takes the power and everything out and the trees.
I don't even know what the weather's like here because I haven't stepped outside the flat for days. Hoping it's going to be decent tomorrow.
Yeah, touch of genealogy there, Teresa. Grand mnemonics, Dad. I don't get things right away. What is Richard of York gave battle in vain? What's that? Is that like the colour scheme system or something? Oh God.
It's the rainbow. Red, yellow, G, like green, blue, violet, I think.
We'd make a really good Trivial Pursuit team.
Or a comedy duo. Last night I was watching Scottish American TV host Craig Ferguson interviewing Stephen Wright, the deadpan American comedian, and it was hitting me on levels. And so I woke up this morning thinking, what was I dreaming about last night? And it was kind of them, it was very bizarre. But it was the way they feed each other lines.
Christmas Day was a very strange day for me, watching TV, which is something I don't normally do. I watched a couple of Robin Williams films, one of them Mrs. Doubtfire.
Nice. Is there still Christmas TV? Is there still TV? I don't have TV, so I'm not aware of that kind of live world. So they had Robin Williams on Madame Doubtfire as a Christmas film. Great.
I don't have TV. I was round of friends on Christmas Day and Boxing Day, and that's what they wanted to do.
And how was that as an experience, Robbie?
I quite like TV on Christmas Day, but I wasn't so impressed with the films on Boxing Day. And the one we wanted to watch, they couldn't get, one of the Robin Hood films.
The Prince of Thieves. Yeah, I've been watching this new TV series based on Robin Hood, apparently made in Serbia, of all places. But yeah, it's been groovy kind of medieval drama.
It was actually a modern version of the Robin Hood film that got me into archery.
And here was me thinking you were a bit of a Zen Buddhist, because they're into archery as well.
There's a film called Robin of Locksley I was watching on YouTube while I was bored because I couldn't sing, so I couldn't play guitar.
Aren't there any good educational apps out there you could maybe play with, in the way that people do with, say, language instruction or something? So you can sing and play into an app and get some kind of creative results?
What had happened is I had a cold, so I couldn't sing, so I was extremely bored.
Can you only play the guitar if you're singing along? Is that how you like to do it?
My guitar playing is very basic, just chords, and it doesn't work without singing.
See that thing of getting bored when you've got a cold? Well, you've got a cold, it means you can't sing, so you can't do the thing you normally do, your kind of like structure of your life. And that hits a lot of people when they're ill. It's like suddenly they're out of sync with their reality. It's interesting what creeps in there, to your world. It's, in a sense, an opportunity, even though you might be feeling like shit. It's an opportunity to explore what you would do. Oh, see, the pandemic was like that, wasn't it? Lockdown. It was like a global experience of that. So they said, but half the world wasn't even bothering.
Which half? Oh, half, but everywhere? Like half of the people everywhere. Is that what you mean?
I got the impression that more traditional kind of cultures were maybe a wee bit immune to the media.
Maybe.
Basically, lockdown shut down my life because my socialising was all things like doing things with people. And I didn't survive very well because a lot of the chat stuff online didn't work, especially my friends where they wanted to keep talking about COVID all the time. So that's why I suffered a lot. But when my dad saw I was depressed, he shared his online accordion lesson with me. That was actually the first time I knew my dad cared about me. But sadly, a few weeks later, he was gone.
I think COVID is what revealed or helped uncover my autism. Because I think the more I spent time at home, and it was really, um, I'm one of the kinds of autistic people who really does not mind being alone. I'm also a germaphobe, so everybody was out getting toilet paper, and I was out uh, asking stores what day of the week they get their Lysol deliveries, and Dettol is one of my things. But anyway, once I got all that and was indoors, I think I became really unsocialized and really eventually somebody who is really an unkind person suggested I was autistic. But then my family said, yeah, you probably are.
I think there was multiple currents at play during that period from 2019 to it's probably still going on. And that was just the most, profound example of it was that lockdown. But, the rise in awareness of things like neurodivergence as a culture. I'm being very personal about this, because it's like the way I see my life. But, it seems to go in tandem with what's out there from other people's experiences too. Although there's probably a whole pile of people who are unrelated to this entire subject. But no, I do believe culturally we go through currents and waves, and those two are kind of connected, yeah.
There's always assumption that all autistic people like being at home, but it's one of the things I hate. But I thrive in very specific environments, but other things just won't work for me.
That's very autistic, is it not? That's the way I would define it for myself. I have my way, and I very much fight for it. But I'm also kind of at times very adaptable to other ways. But certainly won't do what I don't want to do.
The sort of things I expect autistic people to like to want to do don't work for me. It's it's purely things like music is how I socialize, and without that, I get really, really depressed.
Seems like the definitions of autism are what concern you, Robbie, yeah?
People seem to very much have this very rigid view of autism that is very dangerous of the general community.
So we're kind of moving towards the end. I'm always wary about getting into big discussions about anything when there's like 4 minutes left or something. So
Whenever we drop in at the 444 on a Sunday, we don't know where the conversation is going to lead us, but we know that autism will be part of that conversation, as well as how we feel personally. The 444 drop-in happens every Sunday throughout the year, and we create a podcast from some of those voices. But if you join the 444 backstage, it won't be you that's recorded. We also have other events. The backstage event is here during radio days, 3 o'clock till 7 o'clock UK time. If you go to autisticradio.com/backstage, there's a link to click on, and you can come in, drop in, without any obligation, no cameras, listen to people while they're in the room, while you're on the outside, and decide if you want to come in and speak. I'm going to move across now to the last event of day 3 of Radio Days, the 555. So I'll see you on the other side, guys.